It is the Mark and Brian radio program, and as we get into this, if you have questions for the boys, call us at 1-800-955-5567.
8 inches.
We no longer be boys either.
In the room is Cheech Marin and Tommy Chong. These gentlemen have both been on the show individually, but never together. Speaking of that, I mean, you guys did this so many years ago, and then you've come full circle, and to come back to this and dust off some of these classics, and to see a room packed, sold out. What's it like to revisit that great spot in your life?
That's great. It's gratifying. We can do it physically. Can do it at this point in our lives. It's like, I'm alive. I'm still alive. You can't kill me.
I think the craziest thing is when we start going political and in any way, we get booed down. We get shouted down. They don't want to hear anything political. They just want old-fashioned Cheech and Chong riffs.
Are you a little surprised at the longevity, the classic longevity? Because I'm assuming that at the time that you were doing these albums and these sketches, you were entertaining yourself for that moment. I didn't think would have any idea that this would last 30 years.
Yeah, it's amazing. And what really amazes me is the age of the audience. About 80% of the people that come to see us right now are between 30 and 40.
Wow.
Which means
sober.
Well, I don't know about that. But
for the most part.
That means that a lot of them weren't born the last time we were on stage together.
Wow.
So it's amazing. And Cheech and Chong doesn't have a demographic anymore. It's everybody.
And the fact that we hadn't been on stage for all these years, we don't stay out there that long.
Because we got to go to bed.
Which is
Matlock's on.
Which is the key to the success. We get standing ovations because the show was short. and it's short enough for the people. They don't have enough of us, so they go out and buy all our merch. They hit the merch.
Leave them wanting more.
Leave them wanting
Get
more.
a T-shirt.
Oh.
Ray, you're on the air. Good morning.
Wow, I'm nervous.
Okay, hold my hand. Just breathe through your mouth.
Turn your head and cough.
Okay, guys, listen, I got a question. While I was in jail, did you visit him?
Did I visit him? Yes, I did.
Conjugal?
I tried.
Comedic. It was a comedic conjugal.
I see. I visited him once, and that was okay. I did that, right? Yeah, right. I'm not going to go to hell.
I can say I did it.
Yeah.
That's a 2-hour drive.
It's forever, and you got to go through every kind of search, and then Tommy has to go through a search after.
Yeah.
It's just you don't have to visit me anymore. That's fine.
Actually, I got used to the search.
You look forward to it. Oh boy, it's Saturday.
Because a lot of the guards, they didn't like to do it.
Well,
we'd know those guards, and so inmates, we'd torture them. Hey, look at this! Look at this!
You guys have both done so much stuff on your own, and of course, Tommy, you're great in the '70s show and a million things, and Cheech, man, Tin Cup and all these great movies that you were in. East LA,
Born in
East LA. That was now you wrote and
directed.
Yeah. That was really great too.
Well, thank you very much. It was a lot of fun.
Do you guys still continue? You're going to do stuff on your own? This is just for
if
fun?
If something comes up that we want to do, I'm sure we will, but this is kind of taking over everything right now.
Yeah.
And you're happy?
That's what Cheech said to me. He said, I'm not going to let Cheech and Chong take over my life. Yeah, right.
All right, Teresa on line 5. Teresa, you're on the air.
Hey, my name is Teresa, and Cheech went to school with my brother Mike at St. Paul of the Cross in La Mirada.
No, he didn't.
And still to this day, we have to convince my dad that you're the same person, because my dad was like, oh, no, that's not the same guy. And it cracks us up every time, trying to convince him that, yeah, that's you. So we just wanted to say that you still to this day give us the greatest joy in our family.
Well, bless you. Thank you very much.
Let's go to Lori. Lori, you're on the air with Cheech and Chong.
Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
I'm so nervous, my heart hurts. So,
baby.
I'll make this quick. Cheech and Chong, you've been huge in our family. One of our favorite scenes in Up in Smoke is when you're in the love machine, and Cheech, you say, why did the chicken cross the road? I don't know, I forgot. So that's been one of the huge jokes in our house. And I want to say, Tommy, you should be president. I love your political views. You also, Cheech. Cheech, thank you so much for your enthusiasm for Latin American art. I know you have a collection touring. I don't know if it's here in L.A., but
We just finished in L.A.
Did you really?
Yeah, it was at LACMA.
Is this your private collection, this touring? I got a chance when I was in Las Vegas, and I don't get to see a ton of art, but I was in Las Vegas, and Steve Martin's private collection was at the Bellagio.
Yeah.
So I went, and shockingly, it was sold out for 2 days. I had to wait 3 days to get a ticket. But it was fantastic.
Yeah.
And you get a chance to see, too, what the art collector... Because Steve has a thing for nudity.
Yeah.
He loves naked bodies.
Yeah, well, join the club.
Absolutely, nothing wrong with that. But so this is
say
going,
it like it's a bad thing.
yeah, but this is going well.
He's
then.
Amish.
Yeah, it's I just completed a 7-year tour of the United States with a collection that went from coast to coast, major museums all through the United States. The Smithsonian, we were there for 6 months.
Now, did you do the thing with the recorded? Did you record a track?
Yeah,
that's very
for
cool.
some of them I did.
Gary, you're on the air with Cheech and Chong.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Hey,
Good morning.
You too, Mark and Brian.
hey.
Hey, I would like to ask Cheech and Chong if they did the vocals on Basketball Jones, because it doesn't sound like them at all.
Really?
Yeah, we did, Cheech.
Basketball Jones.
That's when you could hit those notes.
Basketball Jones. I can still do it in the original key too.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we did that. We wore tighter underwear, for that.
And I did Coach, I'm going to kick booty.
I'm going to kick booty.
That was my name.
Now, speaking of that, with the comedy albums, you guys have some of the best-selling comedy albums in the history of the business. So one would think that you would go into the studio with, I guess if you're going to say you were really prepared, it would be a fully written, perfectly prepared, ready to go. One would think that wasn't totally the case.
Good luck.
It would be accurate after the fact, if you were to copy our stuff. We're having him animated now. And so I'm getting calls from the animator all the time. Okay, what are you saying here? What does this mean? What is this?
We went into the studio with nothing, basically, with 2 characters, which we made up while we were there, and a situation. Okay, you're trying to get from here to there, and you're trying to stop me from getting from here to there. Go. And then we turn on the microphones, because it was just 2 of us. It wasn't a big production involved. It was 2 of us with 2 mics.
We tried the production thing. Right. When the first Dave's Not Here bit, it was the only bit we ever rehearsed. We rehearsed it, and it was funnier than when we recorded it.
Well,
the rehearsal.
Then the rehearsal must have been a scream, because it's still classic. That's probably the most recognizable sketch you guys ever did.
Yeah.
Why is that? Do you ever spend time
because
thinking?
of its simplicity? It's the simplicity, and that it hit right to the dead center of the time, and became classic because of that.
And the timing of the responses.
Yeah, I think it was the lack of our experience.
Yeah.
Like we hadn't been radio trained, we hadn't been house trained, potty trained, nothing. And so we just went in there, and half the time we didn't know, about microphones or sound or anything.
Actually, that bit started off with Tommy messing with me. That's how it came out. I
wouldn't let him in the door.
He wouldn't let me. We were rehearsing at A&M. We're trying to do, figure out how to do an album, and we're at A&M where we're recording the album. And he says, go outside for this bit, and like we're getting costume, and I had a big long overcoat and a hat and a thing.
He actually said he got in costume. I didn't tell him to do it. He said, okay, I'm the dealer. I'll go outside, and then I'll knock on the door, and then I was supposed to
be a guy coming in for a job interview, and I was supposed to knock on the door, and you were supposed to say, "Come in," and then you were supposed to go into a whole other bit. The guy comes into an employment agency, so I get outside the room, knock on the door, no answer. Knock on the door again. Who is it? What the hell? I wasn't supposed to say who is it. It's Dave. And that was Tommy messing with me. And it's like 150 out there, and I'm in this long coat. It's in August, and he's in this air conditioned room, and he's just like, so we played the bed. So finally, he lets me in, and he's crying, and he's just laughing so hard. And he says, he'd been recording on a little Sony, a little cassette recorder. He says, you got to hear this. And so we played it back, and I just fell out. I just laughed so hard. Then we took it up to Lou Adler.
We played it for an hour, over and over and over again. It was so funny.
And then we had to go record it that night in the studio, nowhere near anywhere near what the original was, but it was still.
Do
good.
you guys still have that original somewhere?
No.
Isn't that a shame?
We lost it.
We would love to
Not
have
only
it on
that,
eBay.
but when we started doing our live act, we started using a video camera. And we never put film in it. we never recorded any of our stuff. We just had a video camera there.
Well, we recorded
capturing
some
the best
stuff, but we
in the
erased
world.
that real quick.
Well, we won't talk about that.
Did you guys have a problem the first time you signed with a major company to make the comedy albums? Where you're like, oh wait a minute, cheating, that's drugs. I mean, in that time.
No. Well, we had other companies look at us and just back away, but we ended up with Lou Adler.
Oh,
and
sure.
Adler was
He owned the company.
he was a druggie like us.
Right.
From East LA.
So he really understood it.
If you just joined us, Cheech and Chong are with us. We're going to do business. We're going to come back and take as many of your calls as we can. But if you'd like to try to get in on the air with them, it's 1-800-955-5567. Back with more Cheech and Chong right after this. It's a Mark and Brian radio program, 95.5 KLOS. In the room, this is the first time for us to have both these gentlemen in the room at the same time. Cheech and Chong are with us.
Now, earlier promoting your visit here today, I was talking about. I just saw the roast that was on, I think, TBS.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And I was telling my partner that and I love blue stuff, but it just was really filthy. And then
Well, thank you.
I mentioned it to them, all the comedians that were standing up and doing things. I mentioned it to them, and Tommy said they had to edit out all the dirty parts. How much dirt? How
Oh, it
must have got vile.
It was incredible.
Yeah.
But they lightened up too because my wife was there, and so they kind of eased back a little bit. It usually gets rougher than that.
What is that like to sit there and just some of the the best comedians just ripping on you?
I'm kind of deaf, so I really didn't hear half of it. I dozed off a bit.
I was counting the check. Oh, sure. Go ahead.
Say what you want to say.
Getting heckled for money. All right. The thing that cracked me up is like the Al Sharpton bit. Al Sharpton, who I was really looking forward to being on the show because nobody knows this, but Al Sharpton was James Brown's valet for 12, 13 years.
Wow.
He was the guy that came out and put the cape over him.
wow. I didn't
That's
know
how
that.
he started in show business. And he segued from there to politics.
So he just naturally became a minister after
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
naturally.
And so the Rev was he was the first one to sign up. Oh, I'd love to do Cheech and Chong. And guess there. And literally at the last second, he canceled. He said, "I got an auto accident. I'm in Vegas, but I can't." Well, and so they just got a random black guy and they put a sign on him.
Said Reverend Al Sharpton.
And he was good too
And he was
because
good.
he had that look. He had that look.
To go back to something we kind of talked about a bit ago, Brian and I have been together for 23, 24 years, whatever it is. And,
Yeah, punks.
We're new to it. But I can tell you from having done this show that the only thing we ever try to do is to make each other laugh or entertain ourselves.
That's
And if
all.
we think it's funny, you'll think it's funny.
Yeah.
Without knowing, I would think that that's what you guys were doing.
Exactly.
But now I have to assume that there are a ton of some of the funniest comedians of today that come up to you and say, guys, I'm doing what I'm doing because of you.
Oh yeah.
How must that feel?
That's a great. That's exactly why I got into comedy because I was a comedy nut all my life as a kid. I mean, any kind of comedy, and between me and my friends, we had these little phrases. It was our little shorthand, and I go, that's what I want to do. I want people to use my phrases, and that's what happened. They used our phrases.
All right, let's go to. Is it Hobie on line 5? Is your name Hobie?
That's me.
Hi, Hobie. You're on the air with Cheech and Chong.
Inventor of the Hobie Cat. What's up?
Yeah, that's right. That's me. It's a real pleasure to talk to you guys. You too, Jim Ladd. Mark and Brian.
Ba-doom boom.
I was in the old classic Fox Theater, downtown Riverside, 1970, 71, somewhere in there, watching Fritz the Cat, up in the balcony with all the other stoners.
Yeah.
There's pounding on the back door. Of course, someone in the audience yells out,
He's not here. That is like it's like inventing butter.
Yeah.
I know a university professor who tortures his wife. They have a glass door and it locks, and she comes up there with groceries, and he'll stand there and look at her and say, "Who is it?" And if she doesn't say Dave, he won't let her in. He goes, "Who is it?" And she goes, "Come on, Arnie, open the door."
Let's go to Ray. Ray, you're on the air with Cheech and Chong.
Hey guys, I want to thank you for the best party I've ever had with 1978 with your Cheech and Chong big paper album. Big Bamboo
Oh,
album.
thank you very much.
I mean, I think I had to buy 6 albums because it was a big party.
You know, speaking of that, you said that you guys would go into the studio to make an album, and you really would have very little prepared. You would kind of come up with it. But when it came to the movies,
even less.
You got to be kidding.
No, I'm not kidding. I mean,
I wrote a script.
Yeah,
there was a script.
Like word for word, or just to get from point A to point B?
No, the scripts were about 40 pages.
Okay, so
average.
So you would have the scenario on the page.
We'd have places so the trucks knew where to bring the stuff. I mean, that it always killed me. People said, "Oh, you guys shot a movie without a script." Well, you need something. You got to know how many extras you need, or how many
A lot of times we show up in the thing, and okay, what are we going to do today? Hey, let's do that bit where remember that song I remember that song I wrote, Mexican Americans.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do that today.
Yeah,
wow.
And then well, how do we do it? Well, then the cameraman would figure it out.
And now looking back on it, was that the right way to do it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We were improvisational comedians, and we differed from. Give you an example. When we had the first movie made, and they were kind of showing it around at the executive suites in Paramount, we were out walking the lot one day, and Warren Beatty pulls up and rolls down the window, and he says, "I've just seen your movie with Pauline Kael of the New Yorker." He says, "You guys don't even know what you did." I said, "Well, thank you very much, Warren, and you're not as dumb as you look either." We did know what we did. You know, I mean, it was very simple. It was almost like punk rock to the movies. We just took it back down to basics and set up a camera. We're funny in front of it.
It was more like a reality show than a movie, because we really became those characters. And we used reality. We didn't have to make anything float or, anything funny like that. We used just pure shtick that
our lack of technique really became our technique.
Well, now, did you film a lot of footage, and then just a lot of it just ends up on the...
No, not a lot.
Not at all.
I mean, we were struggling
we never had the budget.
to get footage.
We never had the budget. Well, what we would do, like, when Lou Adler was the director of Up in Smoke, along with Lou Lombardo, we used Robert Altman's crew, and so they were used to working very improvisational.
Right?
Yeah.
And but Lou Adler, there were many times where he would ready to strike the set, and we say, "Oh, wait, we got one more bit we got to do here," and all those bits that we would do extra would end up in the movie.
Now, the plot line was very, very simple. We get up in the morning, we want to start a band, but first we need a joint, and then that's the movie. And it was a day in the life of these two guys because they were cosmic characters.
Now, we had John Waters on the show once, and I love the story that he told. His first film, and I think it was Flamingo, whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Pink Flamingos.
Okay, so he made that movie, and he had no distribution. He only had the movie with the can in it, or the can with the movie in it. He put it in the trunk of his car. He would drive one town to the next, and he would rent the theater at midnight.
Sure.
Yeah.
He would spend the entire day passing out flyers, and he would show the movie to whatever 20 or 30 people showed up.
Yeah.
And he built an audience and a reputation that way. But you guys stepped into your movies with an already huge audience loving the comedy. So how did the initial theatrical go? Did people come?
Again, it was Lou Adler's genius behind it all. I mean, Lou Adler, Paramount hated the rough cut so much that they actually gave the movie back to Lou, and then we had to reshoot the ending. Which I don't know if he did it on purpose, but anyway, we reshot the ending, and then it became a number one movie right across that year. It was number one for like 10 months.
They didn't really know how to release it or what to do with it,
right?
And so they said, we're going to do a couple test markets in Texas, and I think there was 6 prints working. They sent them out,
wow,
and it went through the roof, and they couldn't strike prints fast enough.
Wow,
it was amazing.
But even at the height was no more than 700.
Yeah, well, that was big in the day.
Were you a little surprised by?
Not at all.
It was what you thought it was.
I thought that we could make our first movie and run it backwards with Japanese subtitles, and it was going to attract.
I'll tell you who was surprised was Paramount.
Oh yeah, I called him a friend. What was it, Mancuso? Mike Mancuso. He was the head of the Paramount, and because I was trying to track the numbers, trying to make sense, and I said, and he says, how's the movie doing? He says, well, let me read you the numbers. He goes, I says, well, as I could, and he goes, This is a blockbuster, Cheech.
Blockbuster.
He did that line from Warren Beatty. You have no idea what you've done.
Now, did they do your next movie? Did they back your next movie?
No.
Paramount?
No. We
sold it to the next
couldn't
greedy
get
guy.
We couldn't get a deal, and we broke up with Lou Adler over the movie. And then when we had a #1 movie, and we were broke basically.
Huh.
Our credit cards were maxed out because we'd been on the road hustling the movie, but not making any income.
Wow.
And so our accountant said, "Hey, you guys are broke," and so we had to go back on the road and hustle, the live gigs. And then we went to Paramount for them to pick up the second movie, and they offered us less money than we got on the first. Less money. This is a #1 movie in the theaters.
What happened to the blockbuster talk? What happened?
We got that eventually, but we were involved in a protracted legal suit with Lou Adler, and it went on for 10 years.
Oh, jeez.
And so we were stuck, and it took us 2 years from the time the movie was released to the time we could make another movie.
We got with a guy named Howard Brown, and Howard Brown, he was a producer from New York. He got us, first of all, he got us decent legal help.
Yeah,
we never had
really
legal.
an idea. Like,
we never had
representation.
representation. We never had representation.
Oh, yeah, you got it.
And which we ended up, it worked in our favor because we weren't represented, and so we ended up, the legal thing ended up in our favor, and we got millions of dollars because we weren't represented.
Yeah.
Wow.
And anyway, but the Howard Brown, he went out and he got us a 3-picture deal. One afternoon, he went out and got 1 picture at Universal and 2 at Columbia. And that was our career.
Yeah, it was good.
Let's go to Mike up on line 4. Mike, you're on the air with Cheech and Chong.
First of all, gentlemen, I'd like to say I love you both in a non-sexual way. And,
oh, really? I'm disappointed.
I'm not. I'm old.
Cheech and Chong, it's a pleasure to talk to you. When I was a little kid, when you asked for the knife and it hit the desk, thank you, I lost it. And furthermore, Cheech, met you a couple times at Don Johnson's 4th of July parties up in Aspen.
Oh, I love those parties.
What a party, and what a guy you are.
Oh, well, thank you.
Absolutely a pleasure to talk to you, and love your guys' work. Look forward to everything in the future, and all the best to both of you.
Well, thank you very much.
Thanks, Mike. Where did Sister Mary Elephant come from?
I came from my Catholic upbringing, going to Catholic school. There was this nun we used to call Sister Mary Elephant. She was large, and we just used that.
And before we did the bit, Cheech was the engineer. We used a little mix-down room and an engineer.
It was about half the size of this room.
So the engineer told Cheech, give me a level. And so Cheech goes, shut up! Loud as he could. Just pin the guy.
I just wanted to see his hair go out like that.
It was maybe there were sketches before this, but it was the first radio sketch I could remember as a kid that they played a rotation on radio stations.
Yeah. We were unique in that we had hit comedy singles, AM singles. And really it came out of, we had our first album, and it was a huge underground FM radio hit, and it was chugging along, and Adler says, we need some AM play. We're not getting AM play. He says, do you have any, Christmases coming up? You got any Christmas stuff? Well, sure. Okay. Open the studio. Here we go. And we made a Christmas song, and then all of a sudden we had AM hits.
Santa Claus in his old age.
Yeah.
It was one take thing.
Wow.
We just did it.
Oh. Hey, guys, listen, we've had you both separately. What an honor to have you in the same room at the same time.
Yeah, that's cool.
Thank you. Our
great,
pleasure.
man.
Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having us.
We'll do business. We'll come back. It's the Mark and Brian radio program, 95.5 KLOS.